So cyberpunk, if you've not heard of the term, if you're not familiar with the genre of cyberpunk, it's a subgenre of dystopia, but whereas dystopia tends to focus on the end of the world in cataclysmic terms, so tsunami, tidal wave, earthquake, zombie outbreaks, viral outbreaks, that sort of thing. Cyberpunk focuses on societal collapse based on the evolution of technology. So if you think The Matrix is a cyberpunk trilogy of films based in a reality where, or in a future, where technology advanced so much that eventually AI rose up, overtook humanity, they went to war, and the world has ended. So with that said, I decided to read Altered Carbon quite recently by Richard Morgan. If you're familiar with the name, it's because Altered Carbon is now a Netflix series. There's 2 seasons. I've not watched any of them yet. I thought I'd read the book first. So let's jump right into it. Let's go with positives first. Richard Morgan, in this book, he depicts Tekahsi Kovacs as an ex-UN envoy, an ex-criminal. He's been released from storage, which is their term for prison. So in Altered Carbon, your consciousness can be uploaded onto what they call a stack, or is uploaded onto what they call a stack, which is basically a neurochip at the base of your skull. And when your body dies, or if you commit a crime, that stack is sent into storage, into an artificially simulated environment. And then eventually you're re-sleeved, they call bodies sleeves, into a new body. But of course, this being a dystopian novel, only the super rich can afford more than one re-sleeving, and in fact the mega rich have actually found a way to clone their stack. So death is essentially null and void, but there is a threat of real death, which is where your stack is destroyed and that's it, you're done. Punishments include erasing, which is where they erase your stack completely, but the mega rich have found ways to clone their actual stack, clone their consciousness, so that way even if their stack is destroyed they can still survive. So of course it's corruption, it's greed, it's full of all that kind of thing, but the world which Richard Morgan has created here is rich, it's vibrant. He does a brilliant job of depicting rains, weathers, environments, hustles and bustles of cities, of advertisements, of lights and noises and sounds. He's brilliant at sensory input. Moving on to, actually no, before I do that, I'll talk about the characters as well. The characters are quite flexible. You find yourself growing attached to the characters. That's quite enjoyable. Tekahsi Kovacs, at the start, he comes across as some hard bastard, some hard nutjob thug, basically. And by the end of the book, he's got a more complex character. So character development is very good. The same with Lieutenant Ortega, who's a member of the police in Bay City, which is essentially a futuristic San Francisco. She comes across as quite hard and quite tough at first, and then she evolves throughout the book into a soft type character. So he's very good at making characters evolve and take certain arcs, character arcs and character involvement. That's another positive. Moving on to neutrals, cliches. Now this is a neo-noir thriller type thing, where Tekahsi Kovacs is re-sleeved in order to investigate a rich man's murder, or what the rich man thinks is a murder. And that's the plot of the story. But it being neo-noir, there's bound to be some cliches in here. Now, I'm not against cliches. I'm not against a bit of cheese in one novel. I don't mind that at all. Tekahsi Kovacs does the backwards chair sit twice. Lieutenant Ortega, who I mentioned earlier, slams her hands down on her desk once in the novel. So cliches happen quite regularly. And that to me is a neutral. Some people might think it a negative, some people might think a positive, some people might love a bit of cheese, a bit of cliche. I don't mind it. If it's done with a well-written story, I don't mind it. So that's a neutral. Negatives now. The plot of the book is very, very complicated. There's an overabundance of characters. Characters are thrown at you left and right throughout 2/3, I'd say, of the book. Just thrown at you left and right and left and right. And it's too many characters that you thought were inconsequential, that you thought would never come back, end up coming back and playing an important role. So I'll give you an example. When Tekahsi is initially re-sleeved, a female doctor gives him a card and says there shouldn't be any problems with your new sleeve, but if there is a problem, call me and we can figure it out. I'd completely forgotten that scene happened until Tekahsi gets on a payphone, calls somebody and says, look, You gave me your card. You said if there was a problem, I could call you. Now I'm calling you. We've got a problem. And he goes to meet this woman. And I'm reading and thinking, who the hell is this woman? And I had to go back to the start of the novel to figure out who she was. That happens one too many times for me. It's okay if you could to bring up characters that you previously thought you previously painted as inconsequential. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. You can do it twice, maybe even 3 times in a book. But to repeatedly do it, and to repeatedly not even elaborate onto who that character was, that to me really, really drained your work. That scene would have been fine if Richard Morgan had made a point of stating she was the nurse who gave him the card at the start of the book, and then that would have clicked on your memory and got you back and made you realise that's who that was, made you remember. But he doesn't do that. He just throws it out there, and he just expects you to remember these characters. He's thrown half a dozen characters at you throughout the course of the novel so far. He expects you to remember them all. That to me is a letdown. The plot is overcomplicated. There's too much going on with minor characters that could easily have just been passed on to major characters. So actions that minor characters have, or roles that minor characters have to play, could easily have been directly or indirectly played by Tekahsi himself, Lieutenant Bancroft, Lieutenant Ortega, Miriam Bancroft, Laurens Bancroft, any of these characters, major characters. But he doesn't. That to me is the major letdown of the book. Overall, I think Richard Morgan has his potential shines through here. This is only his debut novel. His potential shines through. He's created a rich world. He hints at a vast backstory for the lead. And flashbacks occur and all this kind of thing where he was at war. Themes of religion keep popping up, Catholicism and things like that, and Islam, and how they're still about and how they're still important. Shakespeare is mentioned, so Shakespeare's still about, and that's pretty cool. There's a guest appearance from Jimi Hendrix. I mean, you've got to love that, especially being a rock and roll fan like I am. But overall, he's shown his potential. He's got great potential to create rich stories, rich backgrounds, in rich environments and great universes. This book is just let down by an overcomplicated plot and an overabundance of characters. So thanks for watching. That was Altered Carbon by Richard Morgan. Go ahead and pick it up and give it a read. I definitely think it's still worth a read, despite the letdowns. Let me know what you think. I may read the second one. I'm hearing rumours that the second book in the Tekahsi Kovacs arc is better than the first one. I don't know yet, but thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.